And what continues to stand out as one of the defining features of this election is the enormous gender gap between Trump and Harris. The latest NBC News poll shows women supporting Harris by a 16-point margin over Trump. By comparison, Trump is leading among men by 18 points. So we want to talk about that and break it down and take a look at some of these issues. And joining me here today are two fantastic female leaders here in our community, Lutheria Smith and Jeanne Fishwick. Thank you so much for joining us here today and talking it out, because this is so crucial for this election. Now, I know that we've talked to you a little bit beforehand about some of the issues, and I've seen some common themes among between both of you, but the first, and I think it's a topic of mind among everyone, is the economy. How crucial is that here in this election?
Well, for me, the economy is not my primary focus. When I cast my vote, while I think the economy is important, I recognize that we have one of the strongest COVID bounce backs of any country in the world. And it just takes time. I'm more concerned about preserving democracy, restoring decency, and women's health issues.
Sure. What about you?
So I would agree with Jeanne. When I cast my vote, I am concerned about the economy. You know, as who wouldn't want to support a robust economy? But as Jeanne mentioned, I think there are signs that the economy is improving, has improved. And so really, I'm concerned about other issues. I'm concerned about, for example, the impact of climate change on the economy. You know, last year in the U.S., hurricanes and all of the disasters that are related to climate change cost us $165 billion.
We've seen that very recently, too, here at home.
Exactly. So there are issues that I think are impacting the economy that are a greater concern to me.
And with that, I think that goes perfectly into health care. You brought that up. That's huge for this election. It's been a big divide. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the Supreme Court Dobbs decision really changed the landscape for women and the way they felt about health care. I think one thing we've really learned is that it's not abortion access, it is women's reproductive health care. Some of the horror stories about women not getting treatment is really frightening. And I think that has become a bigger issue than any of us realized. And women realize their lives are on the line in many instances. And so it's come to be a large issue for women.
Sure. And, you know, I think on both sides of that issue, when it comes to reproductive care, it is something that people are passionate about, women are passionate about.
Yes. And so I guess for me, there are other concerns regarding health care, but with regard to reproductive rights, I agree. People are passionate. And one of the things that concerns me most about that, as someone who is a Christian, is that the co-opting of that and relating it to Christ. God is not a one-issue God, from my perspective, and that is from the Word, His Word. There are a number of other issues. If I'm going to vote based on my faith, I am concerned about reproductive rights because I believe that I'm called to love people. Love God, then love people. And so I'm concerned about any myriad of issues that affect people. But I'm also concerned about hate and divisiveness. And, you know, I feel called to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. So there are a number of issues that concern me. And chief among those with regard to reproductive rights is this co-opting.
Yeah, and I think that's so important to talk about that and explain that, you know, especially here where we live, Southwest Virginia, we have, you know, dominantly a lot of Christian values, and it does fold into a lot. For sure.
Christ was not a one. When Christ had the opportunity to say what was important to him, he said, love God and love your neighbor as yourself. And so that means loving, I can't say that I love and deal in hate or deal in racism or sexism or misogyny or any number of other issues that are anything but reflective of Christ and the values that I believe align with Christ.
Thank you for sharing that. And, you know, something I wanted to touch on, you know, as a journalist, our job is to get to know these candidates, what they're really about, their policy, and something that we're seeing more and more with local candidates, local races, are very much this nationalized politics, where they are aligning themselves very much on party lines and very much with presidential candidates.
Very much. I've been active in politics all of my adult life, and we used to say all politics is local.
Yeah.
But I think that expression is really changing. All politics have become national. And I think it's unfortunate, but we really see this red team and blue team, and it trickles down. And it's going to be really interesting to watch races like North Carolina, for example. Does North Carolina elect a Democratic governor and then give their electoral college votes to former President Trump? So it's going to be interesting to see where we'll make those splits. But more and more, I think people are voting party line. We see it in Roanoke City, in our mayor's race, in our city council races. And I do think that is a change. I think it's in part social media. I think it's the 24-hour news cycle, that politics are not local anymore. Politics are national now.
They're not, and it's so important to know the person. So thank you so much for this perspective. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for talking about these issues with us.